Alright, this video is pretty much all just some practice problems, and we're going to start off with just looking at the pattern we've been working with. So if I have 24 times 0.1, we should be able to look at that and just say that, well, 24 times 1 is going to be 24, and then we have to move our decimal point one spot. So our decimal point is going to be right there. So the answer is 2.4. So continuing on with that pattern, we got 24 times 0.01 or 1/100th. Again, we're going to 24, and now we just have to figure how many spots. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, 24 times 0.001. Okay, and I should put a 0 up front there. We're going to have 24, but then we need 1, 2, 3. So that's 1, 2, 3. Put the 0, and then put something in the beginning. Okay, so we just have to count the number of decimal points, the number of spots that we're going to slide our decimal point. When we're working with decimals, we're going to slide our decimal point this way. When we're working with multiples of whole numbers in 10, we slide the decimal point this way because the number is going to get larger. Alright, so let's look at this pattern here. We have 689 times 0.1. Okay, now just like we did here, it's going to be the same thing, 689, only we moved our decimal point over one spot, so it's going to be 68.9. Move forward, 689 times 1/100th. Okay, you're gonna, now we've got two spots here, so we're gonna have two spots, 6.89. And then to complete that, 689 times 0.001 is equivalent to, well, we moved it over 1, we moved it over 2, now we're going to move it over 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we can fill in with the 689. Okay, so that's that pattern, and that's the pattern we're going to be working with, and hopefully a pattern that you recognize. Okay, so let's just look at, so we have 42 times 0.01. Well, we know it's going to be 42, but we don't know where the decimal point is. Well, we need to have 1, 2 spaces with the decimal point. We have 1, 2, and the decimal point is going to go right there. Let's look at a couple more, and I'll just write them down and give you the opportunity to work on them without me talking. Alright, so we have 339 times 1/1000th, so we have 339, and then we have 1, 2, 3, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, decimal point, 0. Okay, and then we have 837 times 1/100th, so we're going to have 837. Okay, and we have 1, 2, so we're going to have 1, 2, and so our answer should be 8.37. Alright, now, so that's the main part of our lesson. The next part of our lesson is just a little bonus feature, and I started talking a little bit about it yesterday. What if there are decimals in both of the multipliers? So if I have 0.2 times 0.4, what is that going to equal? Well, hopefully, boys and girls, you can do 2 times 4 and you're going to get 8. Okay? But now we have to figure out how many total numbers to the right of the decimal point. So here we have one here, we have one here, so we're going to have to, in our answer, we need to have 2, so that's 1, 2, let's fill it with the 0, and our decimal point goes right there. So however number of, let's look at one more problem here, 0.2 times 0.04. Now we know 2 times 4 is going to give us 8, but we don't know how many zeros are in front or behind. So let's count here and make sure this is an X here. We've got 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and my decimal point is going to go right there, and I fill them with zeros. Okay? So boys and girls, when we're working these problems, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply, and then we have to determine where the decimal goes. And we do that by counting the numerals to the right of the decimal point. Let's look at something like this. 0.02 times 0.04. Well, 2 times 4 is going to be 8, all day, all night. And then we have to count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Decimal points right there. And fill that with 0. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, when multiplying by a tenth or by, when multiplying by a tenth or a hundredth or a thousandth, all we have to do is slide our decimal point to the left. And however, we determine that by the number of spaces to the right of the decimal point in the multipliers. And if there are decimal points in both of the multipliers, you have to count them and you add them together. So this is 0.2 times 0.4, well, there's 1, 2. 0.2 times 0.04, there's 1, 2, 3. And it's very important that you count all of them to the right of the decimal in both multipliers, or if there's 3 multipliers or 4 multipliers.